Hey everybody, Fred McKinnon here with eBusiness Online, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I believe to be one of the most important, one of the most critical things in your product listing for e-commerce, whether it be on Amazon or on your Shopify site or on Walmart or other third-party marketplaces. By far, this is probably one of the most critical attributes and things that has to do with your listing. But before we get into that, just real quick, back up and tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name's Fred McKinnon. I own and operate a full service e-commerce agency called eBusiness Online. And we offer full service for clients, for people that are brand owners, manufacturers. You've got physical products that you want to sell or scale and sell on third-party marketplaces and on e-commerce channels. I've been in this game for 20 plus years. I call it a game because, man, sometimes it really feels like a game. Sometimes it feels like a gamble. It's crazy. It's still the Wild West out there, but it's incredible, incredibly liberating to be in the world of e-commerce. And if that's you and you need help, we're here to help you anytime. And hopefully these videos will help you. If you do find this content helpful, I sure always like to ask that you subscribe to this channel. Give us a thumbs up on this video. Just lets us know that you watched it, you appreciate the content. All right, so let's move forward. All right. I'm not like kidding around when I say this is probably one of the most important attributes. And I'd love to know what you think it is, right? So if you're watching this right now, just put in the comments. We're not live streaming this, but put in the comments at 1 minute, 30 seconds here what you think that attribute may be. It'll be fun just kind of coming back later and watching this video to see the comments at the 1:30 mark of what you think the most important attribute on a product listing would be. But that product attribute that I'm going to discuss today is your price. That's right, price. We spend so much time optimizing our title and our bullet points and our images and everything else. Sometimes we just forget about our price. Our price definitely needs to be optimized. And let me tell you, there's tons and tons and tons of psychology that go into pricing. You are always going to have competitors. And if you're a US based seller like I am, and many of you are, a lot of times those competitors will be from other countries, specifically China. And now, specifically on Amazon and Walmart and third-party marketplaces, there's tons and tons of competition, not just from, people that are sourcing from China, but the actual factories, the manufacturers in China are selling themselves, their products on Amazon, Walmart, third-party marketplaces. Many times they're selling them at a retail price for a price that you can't even really pay to get it manufactured for and shipped over here to the United States or to Canada, Mexico, Brazil, wherever you might happen to be if you're watching this video. So you can't always price your product to compete to be the lowest or the best price if your product is very similar to others, all right? But let's talk about some strategy here because it's super important. And then I'm going to share with you a really, really incredible tool that we receive from BoostPricing at boostpricing.com. And I got permission to share that here in this video. And you can reach out to them at boostpricing.com for more information. Not selling anything. There's no referral link, nothing like that. That's just the source of this spreadsheet resource that I have, Profitability Levers. Now, I'm going to give you a real world situation. One of our products that we sell as an active seller, over the last year or so, our market share has declined rapidly. I actually, during COVID, bumped my pricing up. It was typically around a $19.95 item. And then I bumped it up to $20, $21, $22. And for the last year or so, it's been at $24.95. And at that price, it is a premium price compared to several comparable listings for products that are very, very, very similar to mine. Two of them are being sold by Chinese factories on Amazon for as little as $8 or $9, which I can't really buy it and have it manufactured, even in China, shipped here, and sell it, pay Amazon their commission, the fulfillment fees and all that. I can't even do that for that price, right? It's impossible. So I can't compete against that. There's no way. So I've got to try to find some ground here where I can still win at a higher price. And there are still customers who are more than willing to pay a higher price for your product if your product is good, if it's well made, and if it has good product reviews. And as a seller, you have a good reputation. All of those things matter. They matter a lot. And don't think that just because there's a bunch of Chinese people out there, Chinese factories selling the same widget or a very similar widget for a ridiculously low price, that there's no space for you to compete. That is simply not true, okay? Now, it's harder than it was, but I'm still selling thousands of units of this product at a premium price. I'm still making a great profit at that price. But that's what I want to talk about. I want to show you how you can decide if you should lower or raise your price and what you can expect in terms of volume when you do that. Because at the end of the day, the more important thing is profit, right? So I would rather sell fewer widgets and have more profit. And I don't mean per widget, I mean overall, right? Overall, more profit than lots more widgets with less profit. Obviously, a higher price is going to give you more profit per unit sold, and a lower price is going to give you a lower profit per unit sold. But you might think, well, that lower price is going to have smaller profit per unit, but because of the better price, I'm going to have more sales, more volume. And as a result, overall on that product, it's going to make more money, profit money for me than at the old price. And I want to tell you that many times that's just not true. It's not true. You would shock you. So a lot of you are going to watch this video and you're going to do the exact same thing that I did when I watched a presentation on the psychology of pricing a couple of years ago. And I first was introduced to this spreadsheet. Okay. I raised my pricing, raised it, right? And I made more money. My sales slowed down, but overall I was making way more money. All right, let's jump into the resource, okay? This resource is on a spreadsheet. And again, I got this at boostpricing.com. And I will try to provide a contact in the description of this YouTube video, a contact where if you need to reach out and see about maybe getting this particular spreadsheet, we can maybe get that and make it available for you. But by default, right here on this spreadsheet, I'm just going to walk through it and give you an idea of what you want to do. Now, I've pre-populated this particular spreadsheet, okay? I've pre-populated, and I'll tell you it is rounding up. So the widget in question, my particular widget, is selling for $24.95. So that's rounding up to 25. My cost of goods sold landed, that's manufactured and landed. And this particular one is small. It's a small 5-ounce item. So I typically get these sent air like DHL or FedEx. They come in cases of 100 units per case. And I've just got a deal worked out with my supplier where I'm getting this manufactured for about $6.30 per unit landed. That's including duties, the express air and everything else, $6.30. It's going to round down to $6 here due to the rounding. So that's giving me a gross margin of $19. $25 sold minus the $6 cost of goods gives me a $19 gross margin. All right. And then overhead cost. For the sake of this demonstration, what I'm going to show you is my overhead cost is going to be a combination of A, the fulfillment fee, which is about $3.60, and then B, Amazon's commission. Now, this particular product is in the sports and outdoors category. So at a selling price of $24.95, the 15% commission that Amazon gets is $3.74, okay? So I had to pay that on every order, $3.74, plus about, I think I said $3.60 is what Amazon charges me through their FBA, Fulfilled by Amazon program, to actually pick, pack, and ship that, which is a great deal because, listen, I can't walk behind me here into my warehouse and take this product and put it in a little plastic mailer and put a first-class mail label on it for $3.60. It would be over $4 for me to mail that across the street, okay? So those two together is $7.34. It's rounded up to 8 because I think maybe I undershot that fulfillment. Maybe it's closer to $3.70, but it was under $4. Either way, we're going to say the overhead cost is 8, leaving me a net profit of $11 per item sold at the $25 rate, okay? So that gives me a profit margin of 44.1%. Now I want to talk about what I can do. I can experiment with an increase in price to see what the cumulative change will be, or a decrease in price. Now on this one, I just kind of want to get some market share back, right? I feel like I've lost too much ground. I kind of milked the profit out of this at $24.95, which is by all standards a very high premium price for this product compared to what even the non-Chinese sellers are. You know, I've got US-based sellers selling a very similar product to mine in this 17 to 18, 16 to 18 to 19 to $20 range. So I am going to be dropping my price as an experiment to $19.95. Now, I make a joke all the time that, and you may not have known this, right? You may not have known this, but I'm actually a professional musician. I've played music my whole life. I started playing piano when I was in kindergarten, taking lessons in kindergarten, first grade. And I have numerous albums out on the streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora. You can Google Fred McKinnon on those. You find piano music that I've done. So I've played professionally. I've played professionally in the lobby of resorts. I've done concerts. I've released albums. My last album actually debuted at number 10 on the New Age charts for Billboard. So pretty cool, right? So I tell you that to say I have this running joke that I use all the time. And if you're not a musician, you may not get the joke. But I say I'm terrible at math. I'm a musician. I count to 4 and start over. Da-dum-dum, right? So if you don't get that, it's okay if you're not a musician. If you're a musician, you probably get it, okay? The point is, I need a lot of help when it comes to math and calculating percentages and things like that. So I go to my trusty friend here, Calculator Soup, on the internet. All right, so let me share this with you. Give me 1 second to pull up that screen here. We're gonna go to my Chrome tab. And my starting price is $24.95. And I'm going to do an experiment at $19.95 because I think crossing that $20 threshold, getting it sub 20 bucks is a big psychological mental thing, right? So I hit calculate, and that is a 20.04% decrease. All right, 20.04% decrease. All right, so now we're going to go back over here to our Excel file, and I'm going to say it's a minus 20% decrease. All right, now right off the bat, by doing so, I'm making $5 less. Instead of selling it for $25, I'm now taking that down $20, and you see the variance here, okay? Now, because I'm lowering my price, it has absolutely zero impact on my COGS. COGS here, COGS is an acronym for cost of goods sold. Whether I'm selling it for $50, $24.95, or $15, it's still $6 per unit is cost of goods sold. That doesn't change anything. But over here, my overhead does actually change. And so let's get into that and see why that changes. Okay, so I went back into the calculator and calculated that the FBA fees are actually $3.90. That was the discrepancy earlier, okay? So it costs $3.90 to fulfill this, all right? Not bad at all. So now what I want to do is I want to run a couple of scenarios. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to come up here and trying to figure out the best way to make it where you can just see my primary display. Give me 1 second. Okay, figured it out. All right, so I'm over now on the percentage increase calculator. And I'm going to launch my little internal calculator. All right, at $24.95, the 15% commission that Amazon takes is $3.74. All right, now when I lower that price down to $19.95 times 0.15, the 15% commission is $2.99. All right, so we're gonna have a decrease in our overhead expenses because the price is lower, and because the price is lower, Amazon's commission, their cut's going to be lower. So from $3.74 to $2.99, that is a 20% decrease. All right. But now, in addition to that, I want to add the fulfillment part. All right. So the fulfillment part is still, it was still $3.90. So to make this more accurate, $3.74. That is the 15% commission on the $24.95 plus $3.90. So the total overhead before was $7.64, which the spreadsheet rounded up to 8, right? All right, now the 15% at $19.95 is $2.99 plus $3.90. So the total overhead is going to be $6.89. So we'll calculate that, and it's only a 9.8% decrease. A little bit of a decrease in the Amazon 15% cut, but since the fulfillment fee doesn't change, the overall decrease to my overhead only decreased by 9.81%. So we're going to come back over here now to our spreadsheet. And for overhead cost change, I'm going to change it to minus 9.8. Okay, now when I do that, you're going to see everything calculate here. There's no change in COGS with no change in volume. You can see the difference. Revenue is 20. That's before fees. COGS is 6. These don't change. The gross margin is 14. The overhead cost goes from 8 to 7. The net profit drops from 11 per order to 7 per order. Now that's pretty substantial, right? So I know that lowering my price from $24.95 to $19.95, that's a $5 decrease. And on my bottom line, it's a cumulative $4 increase. I get a decrease. I get a little bit of that, tiny little bit of that back. And also keep in mind that we're rounding to the next even dollar. So this would be a bit more dramatic if you could see the dollars and cents. All right. So where I want to go now is I want to say, is it worth it? What volume change do I need in order to make the same money? Because at the end of the day, it's all about making the same money. Okay. Yes, lowering my price should, without changing anything else, increase my volume and increase the number of orders that I get, which probably means I'm going to rise up in the organic ranking. It means my ads are going to convert better because it's a better offer, right? But I'm losing $4 now per order. So how much volume do I have to increase in order to make that up? And this little spreadsheet just makes that very easy to figure out. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to start experimenting with it. What would happen if, due to this price decrease, I saw a 10% increase in volume? Now I'm only losing $3. That's not per that again, that's not per unit. That's a cumulative change, right? How about 20%? How about 30%? 30% gets me to 0, okay? I need to sell 30% more of the same item to make the same break-even money that I was already making at the other price, all right? You see here, you know, how it changes things a little bit on the spreadsheet, all right? So now if my volume were to increase by 50%, now I'm making $3. And this is all based on one unit, one single unit. If we did all this same math, you know, on 100 units and we use the same formulas, it would all be the same. So I just did it based on one unit, you know, to get a better estimate. But I know that if I have a 20% reduction in my price and a 9.8% reduction in my overhead cost, then I'm going to need a 30% increase in volume to make up the difference. Okay. So in other words, if I'm selling 100 of these widgets per day, I now need to sell 130 widgets per day in order to make the same amount of money. And at the end of the day, I just want to make the same amount of money. So it's something you have to do. Now, the flip side of this is where it's beautiful is if I come back in here, take a look at this. Let's say yours the other way around. Let's say you're trying to decide if you should raise your price, right? So let's just clear out all these levers here. Let's say you should raise your price to $30, okay? So I'd come back over to my calculator suite. This is the decrease calculator. Now I want to go to the increase calculator. Here it is. So we're at 25. Let's raise that baby up to $29.99. Let's don't cross the $30 mark. All right, that's a 19.9. We're going to round that up to 20. That's a 20% increase. Okay. COGS doesn't change. The only thing that's going to change on the overhead is at $29.99 times 0.15. That's $4.49 plus $3.90 to fulfill it. So our starting overhead cost per order is $8.39. And the new would be, let's see, I did that backwards. 839 is here. Whoops. Sorry, folks. 839. Let me go back in here. At $24.95 times 0.15. We're paying $374 in Amazon fees plus $390 in commission. So we're paying $764. And then let's redo the other one because I've forgotten it already. $29.99 times 0.15 is $449 plus $390 fulfillment is $840. We'll round that up. So our overhead is increasing by the same 10%. Overhead is going to increase by 10%. So at a 20% price change and a 10% increase in overhead, with no volume change, you're making an extra $4 right there off that one unit. And let's say you would have to lose about 20% in volume, 19. So you could actually raise your price from $24.95 to $29.99 and make the same amount of money, no change at all in your net profit, the same amount of money, and you would have to lose 19% in volume to not make the same money. So if you raise your price from $24.95 to $29.99, and let's say your sales only slowed down by 10%, minus 10, your COGS didn't change, then look at there. You know, you're making an extra $2 right there. And let's just multiply that by how many widgets per day you're selling. You can see really quickly how to make that decision. So honestly, it's all about psychology. It's a lot easier for people to lower their price than it is to raise their price. People are freaked out about raising their price, but sometimes raising your price is the best thing you can do. And this helps you to look at real data, and it just kind of helps with the math, okay? If you're natural at this math, then you don't need a spreadsheet like this. But basically, when I use a spreadsheet, I'm able to just know that, hey, let's try to eke out some more margin. I'm going to raise my price from here to here. And then I need to know. And I just did this with one of our clients this past week, okay? We raised our price on a product by $1. We went from $18.99 to $19.99. And we were going to have to, I forget, I want to say it was about 10 to 12%. We were going to have to slow down 10 to 12% in volume. We could lose as much as 12% of volume. Don't quote me on that number, but I think it was around that amount. We could lose, I think it was actually more than that. Anyway, the point is we could lose, I'm sorry, I'm crazy here. We could lose a pretty good bit of volume and still make the same money. And on top of that, we were running low on inventory. So we raised the price. And on that one, we raised the price. Our $1, we didn't cross the $20 mark. We went from $18.99 to $19.99. And our velocity, our volume didn't change at all. And our bestseller rank is exactly where it was a week ago, right? Give or take 10, 20 points in the main category. And we're currently ranked number 2 in the subcategory, right? For that product, number 2, and it hasn't budged in a week. So, and we've sold thousands and thousands of that product since last week at an extra dollar. So that's $2,000, $3,000 extra of profit that we made right there, just by raising the price. So whether you're raising or lowering the price, it really helps to get this information. And again, if you're interested in this, reach out, leave a comment, reach out to us. We'll see about getting a copy of this spreadsheet that you can use for your own calculations. If you're interested in the psychology of this, check out BoostPricing.com, and I'm sure they'd be glad to help you out as well. I always like to end just by thanking you. You know, there's bazillions of channels on YouTube talking about Amazon, talking about e-commerce, talking about all these things. And the fact that you hung in here with me for a little while, 20 plus minutes to learn more about the psychology of pricing, means the world to me. If you haven't already, please comment, please thumbs up, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel. We're trying to grow this channel quickly, and we can only do that when you subscribe, share it with your friends, tell other people about it. If you have a question about this or any other e-commerce related question, drop it in a comment on any video. We'll see that comment and do our very best to answer it for you as soon as possible. Hey, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.